Welcome to episode 4 of Florida Real Estate Life, our podcast. As always, we have my Ed McMahon, Nate Jomaa.
I prefer to be Andy Richter.
Okay. From UMortgage, the lovely Maddy from Pappas.
Hello.
And the fabulous Craigie from Pappas.
Hello.
Today's episode is going to be Get to Know Us. We're going to ask each other some questions and try and get to know each other a little bit better and get why we're doing this out there. So you, the viewer, whoever's watching this, can see what motivates us, why we got into real estate, and what keeps us going, and all that fun stuff. So let's just get right into it. And I will start with Maddy.
I knew it. Thanks, Peter.
Why did you get into real estate?
Well, I've been in the restaurant industry for quite some time. I also was in the insurance industry for a couple years. I actually used my degree. Not many people can say that. But now I'm not. So when I moved over here, I got back into the restaurant industry. And I love my Meg's family. Shout out Meg's family. But quickly realized I didn't want to do that because I just turned 27, so I'm like, let's get going with a career, you know? And one Christmas, I have always kind of thought about real estate, but I just didn't really think that I could honestly do it. Like, I'm pushing myself down. But I did know that it was a lot of work, and it wasn't just like how whatever TV showed it. I know that, like, I had family members that were real estate agents, and I know how hard that they did work. So I didn't know if I was ready to make that jump yet, and I just kind of always thought I couldn't do it. So one year, my sister bought me, for my Christmas present, she bought me the course. So I just went ahead and did it, and I actually, like, really ended up, I didn't like the course, obviously. It wasn't, like, the best thing to do, but getting into it, and, like, from the people that I've met, I met Jeff Blackstone at Meg's when I was serving, and he was telling me about Compass, and I really only interviewed with one other brokerage, and I thought they had a great pitch, and Jeff was my next interview, 2 out of 2. So I go to Jeff, and I'm driving there because they were on the same day, and I'm like, Jeff was going to have a really good pitch because I think I'm going to go with the brokerage I just interviewed with. And I go there, and I don't know, I just loved the vibe of the office. Like, it wasn't anything nearly, like, as cool as the other brokerage presentation because they have, like, a slideshow and all that stuff. But I was like, I just love this. I can feel the realness out of Compass a lot more than my previous interview. And there was a lot more camaraderie, and I could feel it within, like, 10 or 15 minutes of me being there. And I left, and then I wrote down some pros and cons, and it was more, I already made my decision before I wrote down all of those. But I'm, like, so ecstatic that I went with Compass, and I think that's one of the main reasons, like the people that motivate me to stay here and just to keep going, and, like, the grind is going to pay off because it's not like a huge startup money-wise to get into, but it's a huge startup mentally and, like, sweat equity to get into, and it will pay off. Like, the first year is definitely a grind, but I've learned to really like it, and I've had a lot of jobs in the past, and this is definitely my favorite job I've ever had.
How about you, Corey? What made you get into real estate?
So, weird enough, I have to go kind of all the way back.
Gotta go all the way back.
Take us back.
Yeah, I didn't move to Florida till I was like 8 years old.
Okay.
So, growing up in Boston, Massachusetts, as a little kid, I mean, you just watch This Old House, right? Back in the Bob Vila days and stuff.
Vila, of course.
So, growing up, I also lived in this house in Cambridge, Massachusetts that was being worked on, like, my whole small childhood that I lived in the Boston area. So,
is it true that Good Will Hunting was based on you originally?
Just the Matt Damon character.
Okay. Yeah.
So the other ones were totally fictitious. But yes, thank you. That's a good point.
Did you actually coin the apples line? Like, was that ripped from
that happened?
That happened. Yeah, as 8 years old, I was I was doing that.
You like applesauce? How about these?
How about these applesauces?
I'm sorry, Corey.
Down in Harvard Yard, we were doing that.
Oh god.
Messing with the Harvard students.
Yeah.
But Boston in the 80s was a killer place to live. It was a total melting pot. And there was great architecture. The homes were beautiful Victorian homes.
Sure.
So I fell in love with not only the construction, because I was living through construction, right? I'm eating cereal with like construction workers every morning because they're working on my house. So it was like living in the money pit, if you've ever seen that movie from back in the day with Tom Hanks. And so it was a really cool, as a little boy, to be, surrounded by, guys, hammering with nails and sawing wood and all that kind of stuff, and your house being covered in scaffolding. It was almost like a jungle gym, right? So that's what I grew up in, and I was immersed in that, from a young age. But then I moved to Florida, had a normal, great kid childhood here in Florida. As I got older, I was in hospitality too, and I think everyone should be in hospitality at some point. Whether it's serving tables or some kind of servitude. And if that agrees with you, I mean, you have a great affinity to go on and be in sales and do problem solving and all this kind of stuff, right? Because serving tables and bartending, you're constantly problem solving. And I think once you learn enough about sales, you start to know that the amount that you make at the end of the day or at the end of the night or at the end of the year is in direct correlation to the size of the problem that you solve. So if you take something that you did from like burgers, fries, and shakes to buying real estate and homes, I think I wanted to make that jump inevitably at some point when I wanted to, further my career. I had some businesses going. We lived in the Orlando area. And I said, okay, I'm at a comfortable place where I can choose like what's the next chapter of my life going to be. And I had worked in some industries like insurance and investments and stuff where you're working with very intangible products, right? People can't see those, touch those, feel those. They're just investing in, this thing that hopefully is going to pay off down the line. So I said real estate. I always kind of came back to real estate because I love not only the decor and how you can move in and make a house yours, but I love what's behind the walls, the construction from when I was a kid and seeing these houses, being built. I thought that was so cool. So for me, it was helping people solve a very big problem and knowing that they get into a house that is sound with the foundation and the walls and all that comes with that. But then, having a great relationship with my wife and knowing how we decorate our homes, yes, maybe I could help them with that too. And solve a very big problem. And hopefully the byproduct of that and having that life of servitude would, pay off for me and my family in the end.
Corey has the best interior design, I must say.
He does.
It's not mine. I've adopted it. You know this.
He has a great look.
Yeah, but you create it. You make it into.
That's from that understanding of having some construction or the love of working with wood and taking a raw material and yes, 100% in my soul of souls. If you give me a raw product and I can break that down and put it back together and build something. Yeah. And put that together, that is very gratifying for me. Even
you make it unique too. You put your own twist on it. If you you'll change one thing about it, and it will look better than the previous product. I'm very impressed with all of the things, and his wife's salon is all of him. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's all really awesome.
It 100% is his own twist. Whenever I see dried bamboo somewhere as a decor.
Corey.
That's Corey.
Corey is everywhere.
Or is it my wife and I just kind of keep going with the flow? I've adopted her style 100%.
It's a good style to adopt.
It is a pretty good style. Yeah.
Nate? What made you become a lender?
I didn't ever want to be a lender. Like most 5-year-olds do want to be a lender. I didn't.
100%.
No, I grew up in New Haven, Connecticut, and our family, from the time that I was a kid, was always in real estate. My grandparents on my mother's side both were real estate agents. They worked for a big company up in Connecticut, and I had the fortunate pleasure of just being around real estate agents and real estate from the time that I was a kid. I remember going on listing appointments with my grandma or my grandpa and showing houses and stuff. It was just something that was fun for me to do as a kid. And I always thought at some point, I'm probably going to end up selling real estate. And years go by, we moved to Florida, and our family, my mom and dad, opened up a restaurant here in Florida. And I grew up kind of working in their restaurant. And I quickly realized that that was something I was really interested in. To this day, I really enjoy cooking and entertaining and having, family and friends over and everything. But my real estate dreams at that point had kind of taken a back burner because I had just other stuff going on. I thought I want to maybe work in hospitality, do something like that. I also thought maybe I wanted to be in sales of some type, but real estate wasn't it. So as I got a little bit older, got out of high school, I started my family pretty young, and I needed to find something quickly that was going to put food on our table. So one of the first jobs that I had as, a newly married guy was working in a call center for a mortgage company. And I found that I did really well with that. I really enjoyed the conversations, talking with people about, getting prepared to buy a home, or if we were doing a refinance, like structuring the refinance. And I got my license and started working in mortgage from there. And, from that point until the crash happened in 2008, I worked full time in mortgage lending. I owned a net branch of a mortgage brokerage company, and it was just something I really loved to do. And then when the crash happened, I had to take a bit of a step out of the industry for a short time. So I went right back into call centers again, because again, as an adult, it was the only other thing that I really knew. I had to find something that was comfortable. So that was the huge awakening for me, getting back into call centers, realizing my passion isn't in being in a call center. My passion is in mortgage lending. So it just led me right back to mortgage lending. And to this day, my family is still very much involved in real estate, both in Connecticut and throughout Florida. So I've got family that's doing the real estate thing all over, and I think it's awesome. But I took a little bit of a different path, and fortunately for me, it's working out pretty well.
And your family could probably come to you with a lot of questions.
Yeah.
At like 3:00 in the morning.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. We've made it a point, though. It's like we've made a family handshake without actually shaking hands that we will not do any business together, because I don't want to go to Christmas dinner and Thanksgiving dinner and there just be weird stuff because we had a deal. And, even if it went well, like when you work with family, sometimes things get weird, and I don't want any strains, because of business stuff. So the family that I do have in real estate, we talk all the time, but it's never about transactions that we are both involved in.
Yeah.
So,
That's a good plan.
I was going to say that the most nightmarish clients are usually your own family.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So I mean, that's true, because I've refinanced my mom's house several times before she sold it. I've actually done my aunt that lives locally, that is a real estate agent. I've financed her house, and it's never fun. So I said, look, we made this agreement that we wouldn't work together. Let's just uphold that agreement. What do you think?
Smart.
But I've never worked with their clients. But I take that back. There's been one or two instances when I have, and everything always went well, but there was still always that weird, so
Tension.
yeah, exactly.
What about you, Peter?
When I was growing up, my father owned a lot of different real estate properties, and he owned a successful restaurant. And he always wanted me to take over all that stuff along with my brother. I was really into it, learning about real estate, learning about, being a landlord and all that stuff. He used to tell me all the time how he wished he was a real estate agent. But he obviously felt like he could never leave his business. And then as I became of age, I took over the family business, the restaurant, and helped my father with his real estate holdings. I enjoyed doing a lot of that, but I did not enjoy being a restaurant owner. I did that for almost 20 years, but I did learn a lot. I learned a lot about people. I learned how to talk to people. I learned how to be a psychiatrist. When somebody was having a bad day, I learned how to, get somebody to cool off if they were hot, or maybe inspire them a little bit if they were down. And that's all stuff you learn, by being around a lot of different people. Mm-hmm. And it's stuff that serves me well now as a realtor. Eventually I did find my way out, and we moved down to Florida in 2015. And I had like a list of 5 things I was gonna go into or do. I wasn't sure which one, but it was a blank slate. It was exciting, and I ended up pursuing a different dream at that particular moment. I had always wanted to own a comic book shop and collectible shop, and my goal is when I'm on my deathbed, whenever that is, I never want to look back and say I wish I did that or I wish. So I have no trouble whatsoever leaving something at this point in my life or not being in a situation I'm not happy about because life is too short. It could all end tomorrow. So I've always now, and I don't know, sometimes I feel like I'm selfish because of it, but I'm always trying to pursue my dreams now. That's it. And so I did that, and it was great. I loved it. It was amazing. I learned about how to start a business from scratch, which was incredibly hard. And I can tell you all the things not to do now. And I was traveling to conventions. I learned how to market myself on social media for the first time because I never had to do that at the restaurant. So it was a great experience. Year 3, the business started making a profit, but then in my personal life, I was getting divorced. So we get divorced, and now here I am with a 2 and a 3-year-old, or 3 and 4, whatever it was, and I'm trying to run a retail shop, and that's impossible. One of the other things on my list was real estate. I love real estate. I always did. I love the idea of it. I knew I wanted to be a part of it, and keeping it real, it was a flexible schedule-ish. I work 7 days a week now, but I do still, pick up my kids when it's time to pick them up, and I'm there for all their sporting events. I just, know how to budget my time better and work my clients that way. But that's basically how I got into real estate the first time. One opportunity was closing, and it was a time to do yet another thing that was on my list. So I think this is where I'll be till the end of time. I like doing real estate. I don't think I'll be changing it anytime soon. I'm in my 5th year now, and it's going great. And I was very fortunate. I'm a segue to Corey here. My first year in real estate, I joined a brokerage, small little beach brokerage, and this gentleman here was there. He was an established agent, and he took me under his wing, and the rest was history.
I think you had enough of a business sense and that mentality of the school of hard knocks to take it and run with it.
Yeah.
You just needed to learn a couple little things about this industry.
Sure.
But you knew people.
I do know people. I do know how to market, and I know social media pretty well. Like I watch social media experts now, and they're saying things that I was doing 4 or 5 years ago without even realizing. But I just, because I was doing I was throwing spaghetti against the wall, see what stick.
Yeah, spray and pray.
Yeah. So, but I learned pretty quickly. All right, well, that worked, that didn't. That worked, that didn't. So I just kept at it. And so now I don't want to call myself an expert or a guru because I watch people like Jason Pantana. Sure. I'm still learning.
Of course.
But there are a lot of things he says. I was like, I was doing that 4 years ago. So it makes me feel pretty good. I know I'm on the right track. I'm going to go from what got us into real estate or lending, in Nate's case, to what is your why? What keeps you motivated? And what's your why?
So my main why, my number one why, is obviously my wife and kids, my family. I want to be able to continue to provide for them. Mm-hmm. But I enjoy the opportunity to work with buyers that are in this rental trap as well. There's nothing that frustrates me more than watching somebody that could buy a house continue to rent. I don't think there's anything wrong with renting if that's your station in life. If you're in the station to rent right now, rent. But if you can buy, there's no advantage to renting when you could buy. Because when you're buying a house, you're putting money into your own pocket. Every mortgage payment that you make, some of it goes to interest, but the rest of it goes to principal. And when you make a principal payment, that buys down the balance on your mortgage. All the while, which is called amortization, by the way, all the while, your home is appreciating. So you're gaining money with every payment that you make, and every month that passes, you've got more equity in your house. So it's a appreciating asset. It's putting more money into your pocket. And when you're renting, you're paying the money, and it's 100% interest. We've seen that, meme, or we've seen that comment, but it's the reality. You gain nothing from it. So I get excited by being able to show people where they can put money back into their own pocket with their own housing. Sometimes their mortgage payment is slightly more than they were paying on rent. But then if you look at a 5-year amortization or a 10-year amortization, the amount that they're going to pay in rent is going to be far more than their mortgage payment because it's a fixed payment. And again, when I go back and show them this is how much money you've put in your pocket, this is how much money you've now gained in interest, or not gained in interest, but gained in equity, it's an eye-opener for them. So that's another reason why I keep doing what I do and why I love to do this, because you're just opening up people's minds to this possibility that they did not think existed for them.
It's an excellent why. Owning a home makes you a wealth builder.
Yeah.
You're gonna buy a home no matter what. It's just either gonna be for you or your landlord.
Exactly. And even if you're renting an apartment, the commercial entity that owns that place, you're paying their commercial mortgage. So you're always making a mortgage payment. It just sometimes isn't your mortgage.
Absolutely. Good stuff. How about you, CC?
So a lot of the same reasons with Nate. Like, I have my wife and daughter, and I want to provide for them, and I want them to have the best life possible. Having my daughter grow up in the same town that I essentially grew up, moving down here at 8 years old, I spent the rest of my life right here on the Space Coast in Brevard County. So to have her now growing up in the same stretch of a couple miles, going to some of the same schools that I went to, is like mind-blowing, but you also want them to have better than you had growing up and stuff. So yes, coming from an investments world where I did work, seeing people build wealth and having compounding interest or any of these things working in your favor, and having those tools, that tool set that you can rely on and you can build wealth for your family, I think that's super important to be able to pass on to other people and owning your own home. But I also see the home as this creative outlet that you can go to and you can take wood and you can build something and install it in your house. You can build a custom this, or you can paint a wall a color, or do some gardening and do something outside to the exterior of your house. So it's this constant creative outlet that you can go back to and improve upon with like sweat equity, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I think everybody wants that. That's why there's such a popularity in these HGTV and DIY. And I think it's fine if renting is your passion and that's your path in life, but I don't think you can do that to a rental that much, can you?
Definitely not, right? I don't think you can customize it.
You'd be foolish to.
Right.
I mean, the landlord's not going to stop you.
And you'd be asking him permission the entire time. So when you have this raw material, this house that you can put your stamp on and you can make your own, and you can go home and on your weekends you can either clean it up or you can do something radically different to it.
Yeah.
I think everybody needs a creative outlet, whatever you're want to be creative with, but homes for me are my creative outlet. I love to work on my homes on the weekend, whether it's building a piece of furniture or cleaning up some of the landscaping or doing whatever. There's a sense of pride in your property.
And it's like a place where you can like decompress at the end of the day.
And
like,
you've made it.
My space.
You've made it the exact space. Like I like to create my homes as almost like a resort type atmosphere. So when I come home, I feel like I'm on vacation 24/7. I mean, we live in paradise anyway, right? Mm-hmm. So let's have. Yeah, you own this slice of paradise. So make it feel like this destination that you constantly want to go to. And I think then you could hang a hammock and completely decompress anytime you want.
Yeah. I feel like I just went to the pastor.
I
just had a sermon from Pastor Corey Craigie.
I'm glad my why resonates with you guys.
Yeah, totally. I love it.
I second Corey.
How do I become a member of your church?
own a home and make it your own.
Done.
Build furniture. Coastal life.
I don't know. I don't want to build furniture though. I will tell you.
No, but you put together a sweet backyard for yourself.
I did.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice.
My wife was the brainchild, if you will, because I come up with great ideas, but I'm all over the place. Like we would have had like a jungle scene in one corner. We would have had a hammock in another corner. I would have had like a putt, like a basketball court. I would have done it all. Yeah. My wife is the one that kind of talks me off the ledge sometimes and is like, look, great idea, but I think you're jumping in the wrong direction. But yeah, thank you. We do have an amazing backyard.
Right.
It's awesome, and it is my home oasis. I forgot where I was going to say that.
But you got to own it to do that kind of stuff. You're not
Yeah,
going to put
exactly.
a pool in someone else's house.
Right. I have an amazing pool, an amazing outdoor kitchen, but it's my house.
Right.
And it's beautiful. And I go out there and I feel like I'm on vacation. And to think back to the fact that that's my backyard. Like at one point in time when I bought that house, it was just a bunch of grass. And now it's this amazing place where I can invite friends and family over, and we can smoke meats, and we can grill, and we can watch TV, and we can, have some adult beverages and swim and chill
And celebrate.
in my backyard.
Yeah. But
It's amazing.
You can also quantify the amount that you put into that backyard and what you probably improved the cost of your house.
Oh, sure.
You might have got $2 for every dollar or $3 for every dollar that you put into that backyard back.
Yeah, exactly. To your point, the things that you do to your house to build additional wealth is the key to home ownership.
Yeah.
And I'm going off on a tangent, and I will. You've read probably most people that are millionaires and billionaires in this country are because of real estate. Right. They either are real estate investors or they were able to leverage real estate that they purchased personally and continue to buy more and more from that. So real estate is the key to wealth as a rule in this country.
Period. Unless you're a .com inventor or some kind of techie. I mean, yes, investments are important, and yes, you should be putting some of your money into a mutual fund or whatever, some individual stocks if that's your thing. But at the end of the day, real estate is the key.
It is.
I would think that, at least that my whole philosophy in life changed. I mean, real estate can be very boring, not as sexy as like Wall Street, but it's safer. Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
100% safer, in my opinion. And if you do it right, you're gonna make a lot of money, and you're gonna be able to live a very comfortable life when you're older.
Exactly. The facts support that. It's not just an opinion that you have, Peter. The facts support that. That's exactly right.
Just a little side note. I think I'm very similar to Nate because sometimes when we're decorating the house, I tend to have a more maximalist style to things. I'm kind of straying away from it now. I think the older I get a little bit, but I'm like, ooh, yeah, a cheetah looks good in that corner. Or like, ooh, a hot pink frame will look good. And then Michael just put up a Kid Rock flag in the garage, and I'm like, hell yeah, babe. Kid Rock. But now I'm like, oh my God, I should take that down. I should take that down, huh? But
yeah, even though I'm in my 40s, like if you came to my house and it was just me making all of the decisions, you would think a 20-year-old college student lived there.
Nice.
That's yeah. I would have like a foosball table, like where the kitchen table should be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be what we'd be doing.
Yeah.
We were playing table tennis in the kitchen. I mean, whatever we want to do.
So our house is more of a minimalistic outcome, but and that's hard to you have to constantly be editing your thoughts or your ideas or a piece that you bring in. You're like, take it back. It's too much. And it's hard to be a minimalist.
It really is.
The color, because I really like the colors, but I do love how minimalist interior looks. But then when you add, because you have certain colors in your house that work,
Mm-hmm.
you can't add. I mean, you maybe could if it worked, but if you're gonna add something hot pink or something like that, it's not going to work in your house, You're like, I really wanted this to work. But I think I'm straying away from it now. I don't know.
You don't want to have your Barbie dream house?
No, I don't like that. No.
Maybe you're just maturing.
Maybe a Kid Rock dream house.
There
I
you
think
go.
this is the first birthday where I feel like a little bit older. This is the first birthday I felt like that. So yeah, I'm like, we should get our life together, Maddy. Let's do this.
See, but growing up, I went to a lot of open houses or model homes, and I remember when certain communities beachside were being built. It's like, let's go look at all the models. Let's see what they're gonna put in this whole community. And when I started putting my stamp on properties, people would be like, how do you know how to do that? It's like, I've been to enough model homes. I've seen what the construction workers do, how they put they flare up a wall and they put this, that, the other thing, and I'm like, it's not that hard. You just got to get your hands dirty. But at the same time, I think being in real estate now, like, you've been in a ton of homes. If you've only ever lived in like your space, then it's just like, it's like a carnival in there. You just kind of do whatever. But I think you've been to enough homes of all price ranges that you're like, you start seeing everything, right?
Right.
And you're like, wow, I could have a little bit of this. And maybe your style starts to just change. And maybe that's just organically happening to you.
You become an expert on flare-ups now.
Absolutely.
Right. I saw that in the bulletin at your church that you were the flare-up expert.
Flare-up expert.
Yeah.
Craigie Homes. I see
love
it
it.
now.
The Church of Craigie.
Come worship.
My why is my kids too. It's a little bit different because, I mean, my kids were born and obviously I wanted to provide for them and just give them everything that I had growing up and even more. But when I got divorced in 2017, I guess growing up I lived a life of privilege. I never wanted for anything. You know, we had a lot. There was an abundance of everything. So I never really experienced struggle in my life. 2017, I get divorced. I give well over half of my net worth and whatever and property to my ex-wife because I wanted the kids to stay in the same school system, stay in Viera, stay in everything, whatever. No regrets, but it was the first time I woke up and I was like scared. I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? So every day I'd wake up scared. And I would say to myself, and I still do it, I would say to myself, okay, just take a deep breath. You know, you'll figure this out. You figure out everything. And even my ex-wife used to always say that. She's like, you can figure anything out. You'll figure this out. I'm like, yeah, that's very comforting. But I would say to myself, how do I move forward today? And so that is also my why. I'm glad I had that struggle because now I know I'm able to. It helped define me going forward. It helped me know that there is nothing that I can't figure out. There's nothing I can't overcome. Whether it's business or life, I'll figure it out. I once. You guys know who Marcus Lemonis is? I think I'm saying
of course. He's Lebanese.
He owns Camping World.
He's a good Lebanese guy.
I always thought he was Greek, but whatever.
You think everybody's Greek.
Yeah. But he does the reality TV show called The Prophet.
Yep.
Right.
And he always starts off, and he speaks across the country too, to anybody who wants to become an entrepreneur. And he always starts off every seminar, or I don't know if he does in the show, but I know he does every seminar. And he says, okay, who here has started a business at some point in time on their own? And he'll see a show of hands. And then he'll say, okay, who here has had a business fail? And he wants to see everybody. You know, he goes, please be honest, because I've had 5 businesses fail.
Sure.
Or he'll go on. He's a billionaire.
Yeah.
He always says you learn more when the business fails than you do, because it's going to help you turn whatever you do next into something even better.
Exactly.
And I said once before that, you know, I can tell you exactly what not to do now when you start a business after opening up the comic book shop. I probably could have had it profitable in a year and a half instead of 3 years.
Sure.
Just doing a few things differently. He also once said, an entrepreneur, thank you, is somebody who will jump out of an airplane knowing the parachute is not going to open, but they'll figure out a way to get it open by the time they land.
Sure.
And I always feel like that's me. And I've used my life experiences to become a great realtor because of that. There's never anything that happens to me in my life. There's never anything that happens to me in real estate, whether it's a deal that's difficult or, you know, maybe you'd like a few more people in your pipeline. I was feeling that last month. I was like, man, you know, I know I'm doing all the right things. I just wish, and now then all of a sudden it just flooded in. And then this past weekend, my phone did not stop ringing with new clients. It was amazing. But that wasn't like luck. It's
Right.
because I know what I need to do to survive.
Exactly.
I know what I'll need to keep doing to survive. And that is my why. Besides my kids, it's knowing that I'll always be able to survive. I don't know. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah. I think that's great.
I'd say I'm a pretty competitive person just because growing up I was always put in sports. I've swam for God knows how long. And then when high school came around, I think, or maybe a year before that, I was introduced to water polo, and I was like, so cool, like a ball. I don't have to stare at the floor of the pool like for hours on end. And even though it's an individual sport, you are on a team, and at the end of the day, all of your points, go to the team. But you are just constantly pushing yourself because you can't really see the next person next to you or anything. It's just like you got to go as fast as you can and then touch the wall, and hopefully that you beat your time from the time before. But I feel like that has embedded in me just like discipline, because it's very early that you have to wake up to like go to those practices. You can't. Saturdays are like the swim meets. Sundays are your only day off. And Sunday was not my day off because my mom would come in my room and start vacuuming at 6 a.m. and be like, wake up. The whole world is up. Why are you sleeping? And I'm like, it's literally the sun's not even up, Mom. And she's just very like, you have to like go. Like you can't like sit in your bed and lay in your bed all day. Like nothing, my dad always said nothing happens sitting on your couch. And I'm like, okay, Dad. But I feel like now I have just, thanks to my mom and dad, I just feel like a POS if I'm at home, like even for one day. Like obviously if I'm sick, then yeah, like I'm not going anywhere. But any other day than that, I'm like, I need to go out and do something or meet someone or like go try a new place, go try a new hobby or something like that, cook or bake something. And I just feel that the things that I have embedded in me are to help me in my why, because I also want my life to be set up. I don't have any kids or like a husband or anything right now, but eventually I will. And I want to be able to hang out with my family and have the flexible schedule, like you said. And it's just really important to me because family, for me, was really important growing up. We all had to, sit at the dinner table. Nobody could go watch TV. Nobody could take their food in their room or whatever. All the phones had to be off, taken away at like 9 or something, I think it was. So those qualities are like embedded in me of just wake up, do the best you can that day. And what truly matters at the end of the day is the people around you and the people that love you, and to not get caught up in the rat race,
Yeah.
So I think that's probably somewhat my why. I'm still trying to like, as I go, because I'm only like a year into this industry, as I go, like I'll alter things, but I ultimately want to like be okay for my life, and I don't want to depend on anybody else or a husband or
That's a
anything
great
like
why
that.
right there.
Thanks.
That's
Perfect.
your why. Yeah, that's amazing.
And it's okay to define your why differently at different stages in your life. So your why right now is that.
Yeah.
Once you do get your real estate career even further and you do have a family, your why is probably still going to be them, but you're going to have a more redefined why. And it's okay to continue to do that. I think if you do anything and you say this is kind of it and this is all I'm going to do, you're going to find that in a few years that stagnant attitude that you have is going to prevent you from being successful in whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
You have to constantly be able to renew and redefine what you're doing and how you're doing and why you're doing.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I got married and started a family that I could move back to the beachside. I was living in Orlando, and I thought if I moved back beachside, that would be like taking a step backwards. And I didn't want to go home to this boring little town that I grew up in, this sleepy little beach town. I was like, there's no opportunity there, blah, blah, blah. But then you have this daughter, and it's like, oh my gosh, your priorities change. And you're like, all I want is for her to have like my childhood. Like, how cool is that? So then you're like, I got to get out of this town. I got to get back to the beachside by the time she like starts school and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, your priorities change, and I think your why changes in those chapters of your life with your priorities changing. And but it's very refreshing to hear what you said, because as parents with children, you're telling them to put the phone down or eat dinner with you, especially as they get into these adolescent and teen ages and stuff like that. And you hope that down the line that they're going to look back and be like, they were right. And
I'm definitely...
Those are the best times.
I loved eating dinner without phone, and I loved that time. Mm-hmm. I think I was angry when she took it away at 9 and I couldn't go to bed with it or anything like that.
We didn't have cell phones when we were growing up.
Yeah. So I know.
So it's a new thing to navigate,
to
take a piece of technology away from like a small child and hope that, they're going to thank you for that later in life.
Yeah.
So that's super refreshing to hear.
Yeah, I do think her for sure. And I will, when I have a family, I will do the exact same thing of at least the dinner table. Mm-hmm. Like everybody has to eat with each other. And no matter like how late it is, because we were like swimming late or whatever, even if it was at 9 o'clock, we would still sit down, talk to each other, tell each other about our day. And I think that's why I'm so, I guess, social in a way, kind of. I just love hearing people's stories and stuff like that. So I think it has the tiniest detail, has so much impact, and you don't even realize it. And it's like small children, and you're like, they probably won't ever even remember this, but it'll stick with me forever.
That's probably helped you so much in real estate too, because being curious, I'm curious, how was your day, Peter? Mm-hmm. And you're sitting down and you have that curiosity about other people's stories or their days, and telling stories is a great way to, talk to people. Yeah. But that curiosity, be curious, that takes you far in life and in sales, because if you're just genuinely curious about how someone's day was or wanting to hear about their life or where they came from, that pays off big time. And I think maybe you have that from your childhood.
Mm-hmm. One thing I noticed is that people love to, talk about themselves. Mm-hmm. So when someone may ask you something, it's like they can't wait for you to be done talking so they can say, well, me.
Right.
It's true.
Yeah. And it's so noticeable.
All of a sudden they'll make the story about them.
Yeah. You're like, were you listening to me?
And if they're thinking about what they want to say next, they're not listening.
No, they're not listening. Yeah.
If you're constantly thinking about what you want to say next, you're not listening.
Yeah.
What did you just say? Because I want to say something.
Please, tell me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
So I've actually, this just helped me because I'm going to make it about me now. No, seriously though, we were talking about my why, and I like to more succinctly define it. My why is I never want to feel that struggle I felt that year ever again. Yeah. All right. Well, Maddy has some cool questions for us too. Maybe to get underneath the layers,
spice it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So let's see.
So, what, Nate Jomaa, is a mysterious fact about you?
That's a great question. I don't know if I have any mysterious facts. I think Peter can tell you that I am a pizza fanatic, and I think that New Haven, Connecticut has the best pizza anywhere in the world.
He claims this.
He claims. Him and Dave Portnoy. I think we talked about this at the first podcast we ever had.
So maybe it's not so mysterious.
Next podcast, I'm going to be like, have you heard about the New Haven?
I don't think that I'm very mysterious. I'm very outgoing as an adult. As a child, I was very introverted. But I feel like I'm very outgoing, and there's nothing very mysterious about me. I love pizza, and I love real estate and mortgages.
Okay.
I don't like going to the beach.
Gasp.
I just don't.
You don't like the sand?
I don't like the sand. I love the beach. I think it's beautiful.
Sounds nice.
And I'll stand and observe the beach from the boardwalk. I'll eat a piece of pizza.
Bizarro's pizza.
Yeah, I'll eat a piece of pizza and observe the beach. I think it's a beautiful thing, but I don't enjoy getting into the sand.
You don't
and
like finding sand where it doesn't belong.
Correct. So maybe that's my mysterious thing.
Okay.
That is mysterious.
Okay, I say.
Or a fun fact. Or something that someone doesn't know about you.
Ooh, well, that makes it easier. Instead of having to be mysterious. Because I, too, don't feel like there are mysterious elements.
You are a man of mystery.
Oh, yeah. Corey, the man of mystery, Craigie.
Well, maybe that's the most mysterious thing is, like Maddy, I like to try different things. So, food, recipes, baking, whatever, I'll try it. And next thing you know, I'm doing some kind of woodworking craft and building something for my house. So I've built a lot of things in my house. I do all the cooking in my house primarily, so I do like to try to spice it up and try new recipes and stuff. I think
Corey's
all that.
next business venture is cheesecake.
He makes the best cheesecake.
Yeah. It's like 3 ingredients. I'm like, Corey, what'd you put in this?
I know, and that's my
What's
mom's
this?
recipe.
Love.
I had a lot of cheesecake growing up, and it's easy to make.
I will say this about
So
you,
good.
Corey. You have continued to surprise me. We've been friends 5 years now, and you always surprise me with something in a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And coming in, certain people in our office and stuff, like Leslie, she's like, "You are just an enigma," because she never knew what I was going to do or try to do next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love things like comedy and trivia and people that are fast-witted and stuff like that. Their brain works at a certain speed so that they can, their wit will challenge your wit.
There he goes.
I think trivia and stuff like that challenges your mental capacity. I like to always learn and keep growing.
Okay,
Do
I know you have
impersonations.
a stand-up bit, just one.
I don't have a stand-up bit. I've never cultivated a stand-up bit, but I've had enough people tell me you missed your calling that it was probably a period of time in my life
Yeah.
where I
Totally.
should have went for it.
Yeah.
I think we should have a real estate agent or real estate industry
Open mic?
open mic, because I feel like you would be hilarious. I know Peter would.
Yeah,
Would it or would?
Would.
would.
Oh, yeah, no, Peter would be
I thought she
hilarious.
said, I know Peter wouldn't.
I would throw my hat in the ring. I feel like
Oh, totally.
Maddie would love it because you could just be like, "I'm curious, how was your day?" And you're like, "How was my day? Let me tell you how my day was." And you could just start talking.
I thought you'd
stories.
never ask. Good.
I didn't get any
Peter Dice
respect.
Clay. Yeah.
And you would just start telling stories about your day and how that went because they're hilarious.
Absolutely.
What about you, Peter?
Something that people don't know about me. Well, I went to the Culinary Institute of America.
Nice.
And I was a baking and pastry chef. I was a pastry chef at the Hilton at Short Hills, the only 5-diamond restaurant in a 5-diamond hotel. And my main expertise was plated desserts. And that had to be done incredibly quickly because at the end of the night, everybody would order their dessert at the same time. And we had all these complex souffles and different types of desserts that could not just be like cut and put on a plate. They were all made to order, and I still have burns on my hands from them, from from that era of my life. And so that's one thing that people don't know about me. And then I was a history major in college, and I love history. I can tell you like the most intricate, weird parts of. I have certain concentrations. I loved American history, the colonial period. I loved European history, Greek, ancient Greece, German, Russian history, English history, British, the world wars, of course. I had a girl once tell me I never had a guy blow me off because he wanted to watch a World War II documentary before.
Oh, my God.
So, yeah, that's me.
I love it.
How about you?
Not a lot of people know that I went to culinary school for a summer.
Really?
Yeah. I think that's where my cooking started. My mom always cooked for me, so I think that's why. And she would be like, "Come help me." So then I would always just learn random
great.
little things from her. I came up with this question for you guys, not me.
Oh, you don't have to answer your own questions?
Yeah, house rules. You
Right.
don't have to answer your own questions.
Well, I'll say like Corey and even Nate, and even Nate. No, all three of you always surprise me in a good way. I think you're all awesome people, and I love learning more about all of you. Yeah, so
Likewise.
yeah.
Agreed.
Well, that's gonna do it, and stay tuned for our next episode. Next one will be episode 5.